In this lesson, we will demonstrate how new manufacturing techniques shifted the production of goods from home to factory, describe the conditions female employees endured in factories, and summarize the attempts of factory workers to organize unions. The pictures that you see here and here were taken during the Industrial Revolution. You'll notice that these are textile looms, and these workers are, notice, the children and men. Women are going to be the first factory workers, but they will soon be replaced by immigrants that were men and children because they would work for less. Factory workers. When labor shifted away from homes into factories, women and children became part of the labor force. The Lowell Mills in Massachusetts was a prototype for women in the workplace. A picture of the Lowell Mills can be seen here. As cheaper immigrant labor entered the country, women became replaced by men and children, as we saw in the picture on the previous page. This new type of labor put a strain on families that were already struggling with poverty and disease. Before the factory, goods were produced in homes, and they were called cottage industries. Handmade items were made by cottage industries. They were mostly completed by women, and they were sold at market. Home crafts. Trade unions were established during the Middle Ages to regulate the quality, supply, and prices of things that were made in the home. Their basic purpose has remained through modern American history. After the Industrial Revolution had begun, goods start being created in a factory instead of in homes. Previous to factories, when you learned a skill, you could be 3 different levels of learning that skill. The first was an apprentice, which was the training phase. The second was a journeyman, which was a skilled employee. And the third, the top level, was a master, and you would be the most experienced artisan. As factories become more efficient and prices for machine goods fell, these previously skilled workers are going to stop making handmade goods, and they are going to move to factory life, where they did not need to necessarily learn a skill to operate a machine. In the Lowell Mills, women worked in the textile mills in Lowell because of the low pay. Strikes were sometimes staged to force the factories to give the girls better pay or to prevent their pay from being cut. The strikes were not successful, and conditions continued to get worse because the factories never had problems finding new workers to come and work in the factories. Striking workers. Strikes continued during the 1830s and 1840s. Employers almost always won because of the amount of immigrants that wanted the jobs. The immigrants gave them an unlimited supply of replacement workers. So if a particular person didn't like their job, the employers would say, well, that's fine because I've got 10 people behind you who want your job. Immigrants flooded into factory areas because of this, especially in the North, but they did not go to the South because slaves were doing all the labor that was necessary in the South. Irish immigrants came during the Industrial Revolution in large amounts because they faced a potato famine. About 1 million immigrants come to America during this time period. Immigrants that were Irish faced a lot of hostility and resentment because of their religion. They were Roman Catholic. Trade unions are going to organize for specific skills to try to strengthen and fight for rights for workers. Shoemakers, printers, and comb makers all unite into something called the National Trades Union, which was the largest union that was made up of multiple trades. The union was dissolved because of opposition from bankers. One court case during this time period that did support the workers' right to strike was called Commonwealth versus Hunt. But still, even by 1860, labor unions were still weak and small, and the rights of workers and the conditions that they worked in the factories did not improve very much. It would not be until later when the rights of workers are strengthened.